Room service, Olivia whispered, her voice barely audible over the soft hum of the hotel corridor. She held the small tray tightly, knuckles pale against the polished wood, and took a tentative step forward, her dark skin catching the warm golden light filtering through the patterned glass of the hallway, her heart racing as she imagined the moment the door would open, the weight of past memories pressing lightly on her shoulders, each step echoing softly against the marble floor, the subtle rustle of her uniform brushing against her legs, hair neatly tied back, posture straight yet cautious, as she neared the room where Alexander Drake, pale-skinned, impeccably dressed in a tailored black suit, stood poised and expectant, the door slightly ajar as if anticipating her arrival. A faint scent of sandalwood in the air mixing with the delicate perfume she wore, creating an almost tangible tension in the corridor. She felt the familiar pulse of nerves and excitement intertwine, her mind racing with fleeting thoughts of past encounters and unspoken words, the atmosphere thick with anticipation and the faint whisper of murmured curiosity from the unseen staff beyond the hall. And as she raised her hand to knock lightly, the polished brass handle gleaming under the soft light, the camera of the mind lingers on the nuanced micro-expressions of apprehension and subtle determination on her face, the soft, deliberate movements of her hands gripping the tray, the small tilt of her head, the delicate adjustment of her posture, all framed in the quiet, cinematic hush of a moment poised on the edge of revelation. A heartbeat away from change, the hum of anticipation almost audible as the door began to swing inward slowly, the golden glow reflecting across the marble and her deep brown eyes meeting the controlled, authoritative gaze of Alexander, capturing the instant where history, tension, and the first spark of renewed connection converge, setting the stage for an unfolding dark romance that promises both vulnerability and quiet strength. As she steps fully into view, the corridor behind fading into soft blur, each detail, her dress, the tray, her careful movements, highlighting resilience and emotional depth. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. The door creaked open fully, revealing Alexander standing with composed authority, pale skin contrasting against the dark suit, his gaze fixed on Olivia as she stepped inside. Hands clutching the tray tightly, eyes darting momentarily to the polished floor before meeting his, the golden light of the hallway catching the soft sheen of her dress and the subtle highlights in her hair, the air thick with anticipation. The faint scent of perfume and cologne mingling as the quiet hum of the hotel seemed to fade into stillness, each subtle movement, the tilt of her head, the careful placement of the tray, the micro-adjustments of her posture, captured the tension of vulnerability and cautious strength. Alexander's expression softened imperceptibly, a fleeting acknowledgement of shared history passing between them, his hand resting briefly on the doorframe, fingers relaxed but poised. The room beyond fading into gentle blur, reflections on the marble floor emphasizing depth and perspective. The moment charged with unspoken dialogue and mutual recognition. Olivia's pulse quickened yet her posture remained straight, conveying resilience, cinematic framing highlighting the interplay of light and shadow, facial micro-expressions, and body language to emphasize both internal conflict and emerging connection. The hush of anticipation creating a suspended space where past grievances, present tension, and the first spark of reconciliation intertwine. Subtle gestures like a slight step forward, a soft exhale, the gentle alignment of shoulders, all reinforcing the layered emotional narrative, every detail contributing to the portrayal of quiet tension, dignity, and emerging trust in the unfolding dark romance between the two central figures. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. Olivia stepped fully into the room. The tray balanced carefully in her hands, her dark skin glowing softly under the warm, golden light that spilled across the polished floor, each step measured and deliberate, her eyes flicking toward Alexander, pale-skinned and impeccably dressed, whose calm yet penetrating gaze seemed to both assess and understand, the air thick with tension and the subtle scent of perfume mixing with the faint aroma of polished wood, capturing a suspended moment of vulnerability and anticipation. Her posture straight yet cautious, shoulders back, head lifted slightly, conveying quiet resilience, while Alexander's slight nod and softened expression revealed a fleeting acknowledgement of their shared past, the stillness of the space emphasizing the unspoken dialogue between them, ambient sounds, muted conversations from nearby hallways. The gentle hum of air conditioning, reinforcing realism, cinematic framing highlighting the interplay of light, shadow, and reflections on marble floors, subtle gestures like the slight tilt of Olivia's wrist, the gentle adjustment of the tray, and Alexander's poised hand on the doorframe conveying complex layers of trust, hesitation, and silent communication, each detail accentuating the delicate balance of power and empathy, the weight of history, and the first sparks of connection in this dark romance, capturing the slow unraveling of past grievances, mutual recognition, and tentative trust, all while maintaining a controlled, cinematic perspective that emphasizes the emotional depth and narrative tension, every expression, movement, and reflection meticulously aligned to convey the intricate dynamics of the moment. No cartoon. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. Alexander stepped fully into the room, closing the door softly behind him, the pale skin of his face catching the golden light as he studied Olivia, who stood poised yet tense, her dark skin contrasting vividly against the crisp white uniform. The tray balanced carefully in her hands, subtle reflections on the polished floor emphasizing the depth of the space, the faint scent of perfume and the warm air from the hallway blending to create an intimate, cinematic atmosphere, his gaze holding a mixture of authority and restrained curiosity, a gentle nod acknowledging her presence without a word, the silence between them thick with unspoken history, Olivia's posture straight, shoulders squared, eyes meeting his with a flicker of cautious recognition. Her hands gripping the tray with deliberate control, the slight tilt of her head, the careful positioning of her feet, and the soft adjustment of her hair all communicating resilience and emotional complexity. Cinematic focus capturing micro-expressions, the interplay of light and shadow across their faces highlighting tension and connection simultaneously, the distant hum of the hotel fading into background ambience, every breath, glance, and subtle movement meticulously framed to draw attention to the evolving dynamic, the corridor beyond blurred to emphasize their shared space, a quiet anticipation filling the room as if the air itself held its breath, capturing the moment where vulnerability meets subtle power, where past grievances linger but respect begins to form. And the delicate balance of trust and latent emotion shapes the first steps of an unfolding dark romance. No cartoon, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. Olivia took a measured step closer, her tray held with careful precision, the dark sheen of her skin catching the soft hotel light, while Alexander, standing tall and composed, pale and impeccably dressed, observed her with a quiet intensity, the subtle scent of polished wood and faint perfume filling the air between them, every micro-movement, her fingers adjusting the tray, a slight shift of weight from one foot to another, a gentle tilt of her head, communicated restraint and determination. The silence in the room thick yet charged with anticipation, Alexander's hand hovered briefly near the doorframe, not touching, his expression a mix of curiosity and controlled authority. The corridor behind them blurred to emphasize the intimacy of the space, reflections on the marble floor creating a cinematic depth. Olivia's eyes briefly flicked to the polished brass handle, then back to Alexander's gaze. An unspoken understanding forming in the quiet tension, the ambient hum of the hotel fading into the background, cinematic lighting highlighting the contours of their faces, the subtle interplay of shadows emphasizing the emotional weight of the moment, each gesture meticulously captured to convey the balance of power, vulnerability, and emerging connection, a quiet breath, a gentle adjustment of posture, the faint movement of her uniform as she shifted subtly, all framing the slow unfolding of trust and recognition. Every detail aligning to underscore the latent emotions and mutual awareness in this charged interaction, the room seemingly holding its breath as the dynamic between them deepened. The subtle recognition of shared history and the cautious approach of reconciliation forming the undercurrent of a dark romance. No cartoon, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. The soft click of the door settling echoed faintly as Alexander shifted his stance, pale skin catching the warm glow from the hallway, eyes narrowing slightly as he studied Olivia's careful movements, the dark tone of her skin illuminated by the ambient light, the tray balanced with precise control, each subtle tilt of her wrist, every careful step, telling a story of resilience and poise, the air between them thick with unspoken dialogue. A quiet tension that was almost tangible, his fingers flexed briefly at his sides, not touching, a silent acknowledgement of their complex history passing through his gaze, the slight arch of her brow, the steady exhale she released, and the careful alignment of her shoulders each communicated a mixture of anticipation, caution, and the tentative bridge of trust forming, the room's polished floors reflecting their images in a cinematic depth, faint background hums of distant conversations fading into an almost imperceptible silence, the interplay of light and shadow across their faces emphasizing the layered emotions and restrained expressions, Alexander's subtle movements, a minimal step closer, a small tilt of the head, suggested both attentiveness and control, while Olivia's careful positioning, the soft clenching of her hands around the tray, indicated resilience and measured composure, every micro-expression and gesture meticulously framed to capture the evolving dynamic, the quiet stillness amplifying the emotional resonance, highlighting the delicate balance between past grievances and emerging connection, the moment suspended in time, drawing attention to the intimacy of their interaction, the careful choreography of body language, eye contact, and ambient lighting conveying the tension, mutual recognition, and emerging trust of a dark romance. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. The soft hum of the hotel's air conditioning filled the room as Olivia adjusted the tray, dark skin glowing subtly under the warm light, every detail of her posture measured and composed. Her fingers lightly curling around the edges of the silverware, Alexander's pale figure remained statuesque, eyes fixed on her movements, the flicker of emotion barely perceptible yet electric, his jaw slightly tense, the corner of his mouth almost imperceptibly turning upward in a restrained expression, the polished floors reflecting the delicate interplay of light and shadow between them. Olivia's eyes met his briefly, a subtle spark of recognition and unspoken understanding passing in the quiet tension, each micro-gesture, the shift of weight from one foot to the other, the delicate angle of her head, the controlled exhale of breath, added layers to the narrative of resilience and latent connection. Alexander's subtle step forward, the soft sway of his suit jacket, conveyed authority and attention without intrusion. The corridor beyond blurred, focusing entirely on the charged space they occupied, the silence, punctuated only by the faint clink of the tray, amplified the emotional resonance, their shared history threading through every glance, every subtle motion, cinematic depth capturing the nuance of anticipation, caution, and mutual respect, the gentle contrast of their skin tones against the polished surfaces and ambient lighting accentuating the tension and intimacy of the moment, the unfolding dynamic of a dark romance palpable, each moment meticulously framed to showcase the balance of vulnerability and control, the room itself seeming to hold its breath, emphasizing the profound emotional stakes as trust, recognition, and a delicate, emerging bond slowly wove between them. No cartoon, no CGI. No illustration. 1-2. The evening light seeped through the heavy curtains, casting long shadows across the ornate hotel suite as Olivia carefully arranged the final touches on the tray, her dark skin glowing softly under the warm golden glow, every movement precise, deliberate, and quietly commanding attention. Alexander stood nearby, his pale complexion accentuated by the ambient lighting, his gaze fixed on her with an intensity that spoke volumes without words, his posture composed yet commanding, the subtle lift of his eyebrow conveying curiosity and restrained emotion. The room seemed to contract around them, every sound amplified, the gentle clink of fine china, the soft rustle of fabric as Olivia shifted slightly, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of apprehension and recognition, the tension palpable yet unspoken, each breath, each micro-gesture, layered with history, unresolved feelings, and the delicate dance of emerging trust. The polished floors reflected the interplay of their figures and the subdued lighting, accentuating the elegance of their movements and the electric anticipation in the air. Their expressions told a story of restrained vulnerability and quiet power, a dark romance unfolding subtly between glances, lingering pauses, and the silent negotiation of space and emotion. The room held them in its suspended reality, emphasizing the cinematic gravity of the moment, the contrast between her resilience and his measured authority creating a visual and emotional tension that drew the eye and held it. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2. As the soft glow of the chandelier reflected across the polished marble floor, Olivia felt a mix of relief and lingering tension as she watched Alexander approach with calm assurance, his white skin contrasting sharply against the dimly lit room, his steps measured and deliberate, each movement radiating authority yet tempered with a careful gentleness. She met his gaze with quiet acknowledgement, the weight of past misunderstandings and unspoken words hanging between them, their shared history manifesting in subtle gestures. The tilt of a head, the soft exhale of a breath. A slight shift of weight that spoke volumes. He extended his hand in a silent gesture of reassurance, bridging the distance with a patience born of respect and understanding. Olivia's dark complexion glowed warmly under the ambient lighting, her posture a blend of strength and vulnerability, reflecting the emotional journey that had brought them to this defining moment. As they stood together, the room seemed to shrink around them, highlighting the intimacy and significance of their connection. Each glance, each small motion, underscored the growing trust and mutual recognition, the air charged with quiet anticipation, yet enveloped in a gentle serenity. Alexander's eyes softened, reflecting genuine admiration and the promise of protection. Olivia responded with a small, meaningful nod, an acknowledgement of shared courage and commitment, the intricate interplay of light and shadow accentuating the depth of emotion, the subtle expressions revealing a complex tapestry of feelings. From hope and relief to lingering curiosity and cautious optimism, every detail contributing to the cinematic intensity of the scene. The room serving as a silent witness to their reconciliation, their closeness speaking louder than any words, the unspoken narrative of respect, understanding, and tentative joy unfolding seamlessly, a dark romance quietly asserting itself through trust, acknowledgement, and the shared anticipation of future possibilities, each moment layered with significance, drawing the observer into the emotional resonance of the encounter. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. 1-2.